the child and family team meetings in Toby. So this enhancement essentially is going to include 3 different parts that we're going to be looking at today. We're going to look at the actual CFTM record and the meeting and details, and then the CFTM tasks, and that serves kind of as a reminder to you that the CFTM is coming due, as well as the dashboard that can be used for overall review of the meeting details and any trends or information that you're needing to gather from the records that have been completed. So as you know, there are 4 types of child and family team minute meetings. There is the emergency crisis type, the initial, the ongoing, and transition. On the CFTM record, all the questions and fields and documents have to be completed for that CFTM to be submitted. And once it is submitted, those fields are locked and are not editable. And then you'll find that there is a CFTM reminder message now going to be linked to your care plans. So when you're completing a care plan, you get a little pop-up reminder, and we'll show you what that looks like as well. And there is a CFTM dashboard. So this dashboard, there are 2 different views. At the top, there's going to be a current CFTM view that's going to show you the list of most recent submitted CFTMs for each participant. All of the for one, so there'll be 1 meeting per participant in the top list. At the bottom, there is an all CFTM view. So that, of course, then is going to be the list of all records for all participants that are assigned to you. Both of these views function the same, and when we look at all records, then you can do some sorting by columns and some filtering out of data to improve your fidelity for your teams. And depending on security levels, obviously, is going to depend on the data you see on the dashboard. So as supervisors, you're going to see the information for those in your business unit. As site coaches, then obviously you'll see information for your the entire state. And CFTM tasks. So CFTM tasks are intended to serve as a reminder when that next meeting is due. We have added a list of the CFTM tasks to the RAP Facilitator dashboard, so I'll walk you through where you can find that. And there are points when a task is automatically created. So when you submit a record or CFTM meeting, then the system's automatically going to create you a new one for a task that is due in 30 days. Sometimes if there's a participant change, a new CFTM task will be created to trigger your memory to go in and complete that meeting. While they are auto-created, they are not automatically closed. So you have to actually open that task from the dashboard and look at it and mark it as complete for it to be removed from your list. So now we'll take a look at what it looks like in Toby. So I have a participant here, and the CFTM records are found all the way to the right under the related tab, and then all the way at the bottom for CFTM meetings. And this is my test individual, so she's got a lot going on here. She's even had a name change. So while the name is different, it is the same person. So this is where you're going to see the grid of all the CFTMs that you've completed for this participant. It includes the name, the participant's last name, who the owner is, when it was created, and if it was submitted or not. So when you're ready to add a new record, you can click New CFTM Meeting. It takes a second here for the information to load. Okay, and the first thing you'll see is a red warning message that says you have to have the type of CFTM. So that's the first thing you'll complete is the type. And there's those 4 types that we reviewed already. And depending on the type that you choose, sometimes there's some extra questions that'll pop up. So like if this was an emergency type, it saves the record and then it asks for more information about that emergency. What was the date? What was the crisis type? And then, for different types, there are sometimes some different questions. So we're going to go with an ongoing type today. And then you'll see the ongoing then becomes the meeting name and the record name. So the next choice is the wraparound phase, and I understand wraparound for ongoing is phase 3. So we'll grab phase 3, and then we choose the date of the meeting. So when was the meeting completed? So we're going to say we completed that today. The next option is for supervisor. So who is the supervisor on this case? And again, this is our test data information, so we'll choose Alan as my supervisor, and then we can save this record. So that's going to save all the information on this tab, and we are not ready to submit it yet. And when we do submit it, the submitted date will fill in on its own. So following along with the Toby design, we have a warnings tab. And the warnings tab is going to tell us all the information that we have to have before we can submit it. So all these details are going to be found on the following tabs. So we'll move next to the details tab. So the details tab is, okay, was there contact with the team since the last CFTM, yes or no? Choose yes.
That would be yes, because we're contacting our families and team members weekly for updates, so we're prepared for the next child and family team meeting.
And then was there a crisis since the last CFTM? So obviously if it's no, you can leave it no. If it's yes, then again, you're going to have some additional questions to ask. We want to know details about this. So, when was that crisis? They had a crisis last week, and the crisis type, it was attempt for self-harm. And did you have an emergency meeting then? So you can say yes, and if you did, then what date did you have that meeting? So you just kind of fill that information, and it's pretty straightforward. Are there community-based strategies in the plan of care? Yes. And then on the right-hand side, it's going to ask you about MRO services. So again, these questions are kind of dependent. So are they receiving services? No. Okay, then have they been requested? Yes. And this information will pull over from past CFTM, so you can update it if you need to. So if they are now receiving the services, you can hit yes, and you can add when those services started.
And just to add to, if you don't know, like if you're partnering with a family and when you started your partnership in phase 1 and 2, and they already had MRO services that are, say at the local mental health center, or say like if it was me and I worked at the community mental health center out of Batesville, Indiana, and I knew this family was already receiving, case management and skills when they came to me in my partnership and wraparound, I would just put the date that I, started partnering with this family as when MRO services began. Or if your MRO folks in your organization know that actual start date, you could enter that as well. We just want to make sure that the full array of supports and services are being offered to families and just being offered. So if they don't want to participate in MRO, that's okay. But we know that those supports and services are there and will last through transition. So that's just capturing some of that data in regards to the full array of supports and services for families.
All right. So when you have the information that you want on this tab, you're going to save it as you move to the next one. And the next tab is the attendance tab. So the attendance tab is where you're going to capture just a few items. The date that you sent those CFTM minutes to the team. So we're going to overachieve, and we're going to have our meeting and send our minutes the same day today. How many formal supports were present during that meeting, and this is just a number to type in. So were there 2, were there 10, were there 0? Yep. Just type that number in, and the same thing with informal supports, it's just a type in number.
And so just remember, formal supports are people that are paid to care. Informal supports are the people that are not paid to care. Also, informal supports don't include the youth or the caregivers or the people that live inside the family's home. So we're looking at people who are not paid to care, who live outside the family home.
And then below where you add in the number of attendees, you're going to add in the type. So what type of people were present during your meeting? And there's a whole list of options here, and each one is defaulted to no, but you can drop down and choose yes. So was the youth present? Yes. Was the caregiver present? Yes. Was the natural support present? No. What about the wraparound facilitator? Yes.
I hope so.
Yes, right, exactly. The supervisor, the DCS FCM, were they present? Yep, they were there today. Was the probation officer, the therapist, the case manager, the skill worker. We're just asking, going through a whole list of options of these individuals who were or were not at the meeting to be represented. Were the was HAB there? Was FST there? What about the respite? Was faith-based present? Were the MRO services present? So we'll say yes, they were. So these yes and no answers do not calculate your number of attendees. You have to add your number of attendees independent of marking who was there. So once
And
you have,
sorry, Jen.
that's okay.
I was going to say, just to say, like, if the family doesn't have a relationship with DCS or probation and those people aren't relevant to the team, just leave the answers as no. Sorry.
That's right. So once you have all the information you need here, you'll hit save on that tab as you move to the next one. So the next one is supporting documentation. There are 2 documents that must be completed, 2 document types that have to be entered into the system for each meeting. There is the meeting minutes and the meeting sign-in. So to add those, you need to choose the new CFTM document here in the right corner. And there's just a couple of fields to fill in. The first one is the name. So the name is a free form text. You're going to call it whatever you want. Usually you probably should call it what it is, the minutes, and we're going to put the date of our meeting, 7/27. And then the document type. So the document type is a drop down, and it's going to give you those 2 options that I said are required to be able to submit this meeting. So the minutes and the sign-in. So we typed minutes, it's going to be minutes, so we're going to say it's the minutes. Once we have that information, we choose save. Saving actually is going to create a record, and we can see here that the record name is minutes 7/27. And then there's some information here in the box for adding a document to the meeting. So choosing a file and uploading a file. So there's 2 steps to add the document. Obviously, A is to choose the file. So we'll hit choose and we'll find my meeting minutes and I will open it. And then step 2, it's not going to attach to your record unless you upload it. You have to upload that file, and then you're looking for the upload successful button or a message, I mean. So when you see the message, click OK, and then the options change. So now we can either view our document or we can delete our document. So if we want to view our document, it's going to pop up as an option here to open. Opens on my other screen, so let me just slide that over. Yep, so there's my minutes. Okay, that's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted it to be. But say it wasn't what I wanted it to be. I could delete that document. And when I hit delete, it does not just delete the attachment, it deletes the entire record. So then you have to go in, you have to recreate a new record with a new name. And it can be the same name, but you just have to follow that process again. And then just type our name and choose our type and then save it. So then it takes a save to be able to have the ability to choose and upload that file. So we'll choose our file. We'll select our meeting sign it up, minutes on this one. And we can upload it. Perfect. And view it if we want to, or delete it, but we're going to save it because we know that it's right. And then takes you back here where you have the grid. It's just the name and the date that the record was created. And like I said, there are 2 required documents. The other one is the sign-in. Meeting date on there. And then we choose the type as sign-in. Save it. Choose our file. Sign in. And then we can upload it. And we view it. Maybe. Yep, same thing. Mom and the screen. Okay, so there's our meeting sign-in. So mom, dad, Pat, counselor were there. That looks great. And then we save it and save and close. And now we have our 2 records here on our supporting document page. So now that we have our records, we're going to go back, we're going to check that warnings tab. All of our warnings are gone. Looks like we have everything we need. So we'll go to our general tab, and now we're ready to submit it. Go from no to yes, and save that. So it's going to run another check. And if everything, all the validations are met, then all the fields will be locked. Including, I wanted to point out that on the supporting documentation page, while it's not a locked field, you can only view the document. You cannot delete the document anymore once the record has been submitted. So that's the CFTM record. And I'm going to show you real quick what you're going to see. Oops. So I mentioned that we are also adding a little reminder message to the care plan. So if I'm working on my participant, Emily here, and I go and I'm working on her care plan. I've got this one in progress. Working through it, and when I'm ready to submit it, that's when I'm going to get just a little message. Just please remember to enter all those CFTMs that you've had since the last care plan. This message does not prevent you from doing your care plan. It's just a reminder message to get in there and get those CFTMs entered so that the system of record is updated.
So the cool thing about this is no longer will you guys have to upload the sign-in sheets and the child and family team meeting minutes to the participant page and notes, now that we have a specific section in Toby dedicated to those items. So don't have to upload those on the participant page and notes anymore. They just go right here in the CFTM piece. Or yes, I know Stacy brought this up, wraparound team meeting. We will change all the CFTM language. Eventually, it requires us to open up our state plan amendment again. So upon the next opening of our state plan amendment, we'll work to get everything to wraparound team meeting. But here's where we are for now. We got to match what we told the feds.
Okay. All right. So the next piece, I said there are 3 pieces. The next piece we'll talk about are the tasks. So on the wraparound, the WF dashboard, it takes a minute to load here. We have added in the bottom right next to your follow-up cases a new block of my CFTM tasks. So this is just a little section that's going to show you that the next CFTM is due. It's going to show you the last name of the participant and the due date. So you can open one from here if you want to, and you'll see the record. Or if you want to see more information, you can click the 3 dots here and choose See All Records. And that's going to give you more information on each of those tasks. So we'll see here, again, the last name, when it's due, when the last one was completed, and their participant ID. So like I told you, we just had a training session yesterday. So yesterday, for my test participant, I completed one for Bagley, and it gave me a due date of 8/25. Well, now I just completed a new one today on 7/27, so now I have another one due. So I need to close out this one from yesterday because I've completed that CFTM. So to close it out, you just open the record up. So double click there. And it's just going to give you the basic information on that task. It's going to tell you that in the description how it was created. So like I said, it's going to auto create when you submit a CFTM. It's also going to create when you go like from interrupted to active. It's going to say, okay, in 30 days, I need a CFTM so I can see what's going on with this participant. And then if a participant terminates, they will come off the list. It's going to give you the link to the participant record, the CFTM, that it's CFTM due, and then the due date, what the due date was. So we know that we've completed this one, so we're going to just hit Mark Complete. And then when I return back to my list, I see I only have one for Bagley, and it's the one that I completed today. So that's not, you'll have to go in and manually clean that up as you're completing these records. And if you don't think to go down there, it's going to be really long. So you're going to have to manually go in and just mark those complete. Just the one touch of the button there takes care of that for you.
Yep, they're just reminders that things are coming due. And you can just delete them when you're finished. Jen, do you care if I address a few questions that were in
Yeah.
chat
Oh yeah,
real
no,
quick?
go right ahead.
Okay, so a couple of you had a question regarding where to upload other documentation. So we do have the place now designated for Child and Family Team Meeting minutes and Child and Family Team Meeting sign-in sheets as this process through the CFTM tabs. Any other documentation, such as family changes providers, and you have a new pick list, that still continues to go on the participant page in the notes section. And if your providers have FST or respite or providing monthly reports, you can absolutely upload those on the participant page under the notes section. So those pieces still stay the same. We've only been able to carve out a specialized area in Toby at this point in time for Child and Family Team Meeting minutes and sign-in sheets. So.
All right. And the third component of the CFTM that has been created is the dashboard. So
This is my favorite.
There'll be a new dashboard here called CFTM dashboard. And again, this is going to have two views to it. So the top view is current CFTM view. And this current CFTM view is going to show you the one record for the participant, the last submitted CFTM record. So you can see some basic information here on the grid, the submitted date, the participant ID, the name of the record, what type it was, if there was a crisis, you know, the crisis type would be listed here, which phase they were in, and days since their last assessment. What you can do, what I always recommend is on the right-hand side on those three dots, you can hit See All Records, and it's going to give you a little more information, actually. And when you open See All Records, it also gives you the ability to do some sorting and stuff. So in addition to, let's see, days since the last CFTM, you can hover over and see what the name of the column is. It also shows you the number of formal supports that were present, the number of informal supports, and then the owner of that record. So when you have all records open, you can sort. So if you can say, you know what, how many of my participants or how many of these participants are in phase 3? So you can drop down the caret and you're going to filter equals to phase 3 and apply. Okay, all right, I've got 3 that are in phase 3. So that's just a little helpful hint. You can filter on any of these columns when you have all the records open like this. You want to see how many are the type was initial. You can just open it up and it'll show you all the initial ones, and then you can just clear your filter and get back to your full list. So again, the top record, the current CFTM, is just that one most recently completed record. If we go back to our dashboard, below the current CFTM is the all CFTM dashboard. So this is going to be a record of all of the CFTMs that have been completed by you as the owner, or per owner, I guess. In this situation, I haven't linked up, so it's just my records. But so if you're a supervisor and you want to see all of the records that were completed by one of your RAP facilitators, you can sort by owner and choose the owner that you want, you know, to take a look at. This is going to give you the ability to see, you know, how many of those CFTMs were completed within 30 days, required 30 days. Also, if one tip on the crisis type, if you're doing crisis type, and this is a multi-select field. So if you want to know how many individuals you know, had a certain type of crisis in their life, when you filter, you're going to want to put contains values. So because there can be multiple, they can have a self-harm and be a runaway. You want to choose one that you know is selected, and I'm not sure which one is selected here. See if there any of them have self-harm. So there weren't any with self-harm, but I know that if I did one that contains suicidal ideation, and I apply that filter, then I can see there's 2 records that have suicidal ideation as one of the crisis types. So like for this particular person, they had 3 crisis types. And when you hover over that, you can see the full amount.
So RAP supervisors, oh, sorry, I was
No,
talking to the supervisors that are here. So a lot of you are collecting this data in spreadsheets right now, Excel spreadsheets, and all this links back to the wraparound supervisor checklist and also the expectations in wraparound that we expect that maybe we don't provide coaching around, like we have child and family team meetings every 30 to 45 days. We don't coach around that. That's an expectation, right? We coach around maybe supporting RAP facilitators in their engagement with families. So this has been designed to give you guys as supervisors a quick look at some very basic fidelity items so you can do your prep for your process-based supervision. You can look at your entire team. You can look at your facilitator that you're getting ready to do supervision with specifically to eliminate any Excel spreadsheets that you're keeping. Your coaches will be able to access documents through here. So instead of your coach saying, hey, can you email me your child and family team meeting minutes in a protected email? Don't have to do that anymore. You just put it in Toby. Your coach can find it there. They can prep for any process-based supervisions that are partnering up with you, or they can do a document review with you and one of your wraparound facilitators, and that information will be right here in Toby for you. Sorry, Jen.
That's okay. That's right. Okay, so so then that's kind of that's the conclusion of the demonstration part. There's just a few helpful hints. On that CFTM record, make sure you upload the file after you find it. So just locating the file isn't enough. You have to physically go through that two-step process of uploading it and then look for that upload successful message. That's how you know that your record is there. The CFTM tasks, again, they don't automatically come off that list. You got to go in and manually close them out. And then see all records is going to be your friend on that dashboard so that you can be able to use that sorting and filtering functionality to your advantage.